I do think finding ways to authentically tell your story yourself with your own face on camera, people are going to resonate more with that rather than with a logo or stock images. When I follow a brand, but I know the person who's behind that brand and they show up on their social media, I get to feel like they've brought me into something in their story, that I'm intrinsically woven into it in some way. And that's kind of what we all want to feel when we go on social media. So finding that little tidbit of truth to share with your audience, I think that is gold.
Welcome to Glow Up Boss, the business school for beauty entrepreneurs. Having trained over 8,000 women to build and run profitable beauty businesses, I'm here to share knowledge and skills to put you on the fast track to grow your business and glow up your life. I'm your host, Veronique Monroe. With 20 years experience as a product developer, celebrity spray tan artist, and founder of multiple sunless tanning companies, I've launched products and methods that have become today's industry standard. This podcast is where you will learn what you need to build your business from the ground up. You'll hear from industry experts on how to build a thriving customer base, grow revenue, buy back your time, and create the freedom to live life on your terms. It's time to discover the boss within you. Get ready to glow up. Welcome to Glow Up Boss, your business school podcast for women or professional beauty entrepreneurs. Today, I'm sitting here with an absolute incredible media expert by the name of Lexy Romano. Lexi, when did you and I meet? Was it like a couple of years ago when you were doing the Phoenix Finds Christmas edition?
It was, yes. It was probably at this point 3 or possibly even 4 years
was it
ago.
That many years ago?
I don't know. I think it was maybe 3 years ago, but it's definitely been a while. So I just love you so much. I'm so honored and proud to be here. So thank you for having me.
Well, I'm so honored that you agreed to join us on the podcast and to offer your incredible experience and expertise to our listeners. So we work with a lot of entrepreneurs in the beauty space and even outside of the beauty space that work hard to build their companies and to build their brands. And suddenly they're starting to get the recognition they deserve. They're offered appearances on TV shows or on local news, podcasts, speaking events, and they get those offers. And they're thinking, oh my gosh, I've never appeared in front of a camera before.
Right.
I've never walked across the stage. I've never been on a podcast.
Yeah.
What do I wear? How do I hold myself? What do I do?
Yeah.
So for these women or for these business people, that's why I wanted you to come on the show, because you can certainly pull the cover off of this and really expose to them the way to really bring out the best in themselves. But before we get started on that, I'd love for you to tell our listeners a little bit about yourself, your expertise, how you started, what you're doing now. What does life look like for Lexy Romano?
Oh, well, thank you so much. And I chuckle a little bit when you used the title media expert, because we had just talked about that before we started the podcast, but we'll get into that in a minute. And I'm honored to be here. Like I said, it's always great to see you because you're such a light and you're so joyful and bring so much light and love into every room you're in. But I love getting to talk about this. I love talking about media. I love talking about presenting yourself on camera or in front of an audience. It's something that I absolutely love to do and I love to kind of share about. So I'm a television host. I'm also a singer, and I'm the creator of Phoenix Finds Media, which we produce Phoenix Finds with Lexy Romano, which is a local lifestyle show that's aired on several channels here in the Valley. We also produce other shows for other companies, for YouTube, kind of just anything you can think of. We've done live events, anything that needs media hype. Like if you want your business to have a feature video, have an event sizzle reel, have an entrepreneurial video highlighting you and what you do, we're there for you. We got you. So that's what I do with Phoenix Finds. But I also am a television host. I've worked for several other productions. I'm currently filming for Destination, which is a national show. They go to different cities around the country and highlight everything great going on there. So they contacted me to be the host for Destination Phoenix. So I'm in the process of filming for that. And I was also on the Arizona Daily Mix for many, many years on the CW7, which I'm so proud of, one of our local lifestyle shows that is incredible. And I got to work with some Valley legends and got to meet some incredible people. And we just had a blast doing that show. So I'm very proud of that as well. But going into the new year, I'm really focusing on Phoenix Finds with Lexi Romano. It's our 6th season, which I can't believe.
Wow.
I know. I can't believe we're going into 6 years. It's incredible. But we're launching on a new station, which I'm so excited about. And it's all just really fun, good things for 2025.
That sounds amazing.
Thanks.
So imagine you're a beauty business owner.
Mhm.
You have a brick and mortar business.
Yeah.
And suddenly you have the opportunity to appear on TV.
Yeah.
I'm going to shift you right now into like you're offering media training.
Okay.
Which
I also do.
Think, well, this is good. What would you tell this entrepreneur to do to get ready to really put her best foot forward?
Absolutely. This is such a great question because this is the goal, right? This is the goal is that say you are in, the tanning industry, or maybe you do extensions, or maybe you do eyelashes, whatever it is that you do. You want that media attention because you want people to know that you're out there offering this. If you are doing this incredible business and you have this amazing brand that you offer, but nobody knows about it, how are you going to get people in the door? How are you going to make sales? So the media attention is fantastic. And the first thing I would say is definitely be prepared going into these opportunities. If you go in there and you crush it, there's a huge chance that they will ask you back. So I don't mean to put pressure on anybody, but this is a big opportunity. This is a really big deal. I would say don't go in acting like, oh, whatever, it doesn't matter. No, this is a big deal, and you need to take this with the seriousness that comes from that. So making sure you are prepared with talking points. This is one of the first things that, I do media training. This is one of the first things that we talk about. So what is your messaging? What is your brand mission? What do you want people to know? You've got to get that stuff down. And I don't mean being scripted, but having a very, very clear understanding of what you're putting out to the world. So talking points are a huge deal, but also how you present yourself is a big deal. We talked about this a little bit. What you wear and how you present yourself. So I understand we all have a different style. We all have a different way that we present ourselves to the world. But I would say going in looking like you, but on your best day. I mean, prepare as best as you can for this, get a good night's rest the night before. Wake up early. Try to feel like you look like you are proud of yourself. And, we all have good days and bad days in terms of our hair and our makeup and things like that. So you can't always control everything like that. But pick an outfit that makes you feel like a badass, that you feel like, I feel great in this, and wear that. Wear whatever makes you feel. If it's heels, if it's a blazer, if it's whatever it is, if it's an awesome rockin' dress, make sure you feel like your best self so that you put that presentation forward. And then, make sure that you know what it is that you're offering. Because once you get into, if it's a podcast, so I'm here today with you, there are lights, there are cameras. It does make even someone like me, who I'm in front of camera all the time, it makes me a little like, oh, lights, camera, action, we're rolling. It gives you a little bit of that nervy energy, which is great because if you know your stuff is still going to come out the way that you have worked on it. But if you're not prepared, you might be a little more nervous than you expect yourself to be. And sometimes that can kind of play on how well we think we can be prepared. So I would just say prepare as much as possible.
What about colors of the clothing that you wear, or print versus no print?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a better way to dress when you're going to be on camera?
You know what? So there used to be very, very strict guidelines, especially I would say about 10, 15 years ago. People really would adhere to the idea of no print, solid, very structured colors, jewel tones, because it read really well on those slightly older cameras.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, I think our cameras are up to a level that, like, I'm wearing a print today. I used to wear this on the show all the time because our cameras now are so great that you can wear a smaller print. You can wear something a little bit more vibrant, and it'll still come out looking okay. What I will say is be careful wearing something that's too revealing, something that's too tight, something that if you're going to be in a unique situation, say you're sitting, if it kind of bulges out at weird areas, or just be aware that you might be in a situation maybe you didn't plan for. And so definitely wear an outfit that makes you feel confident. But if you had to, bend over for something, would you be nervous if you're wearing something very, very short? Just kind of be aware of those things so that you feel completely comfortable the entire time. That's my biggest thing is look awesome, but still try to make sure you feel comfortable while you're doing this.
Okay. Now, what about people that don't know what they look like on camera? Like, people always say, do you have a good side? Like earlier, you were asked, do you have a good side? How do you know?
So the only way to know, I think, is to get yourself on camera. And that sounds easier than it is done. But we live in a day and age where everybody has a little camera right here on your phone, and you can start recording yourself. So if you are an entrepreneur and you're not making your own video content, I don't know, why not? Why are you not? Getting your face out there as the face behind your brand is so important and necessary these days. Now, if you are an entrepreneur who has already reached a level of success and you are able to hire somebody else to take video for you, to edit video for you, that's great and good for you. But if you're not there yet, you have it all on your phone. We can do all of this from home. And I would highly, highly suggest that you start as soon as possible, because the more you see yourself on camera, the more you're going to learn about yourself on camera. And being on camera nowadays is how people connect with your brand. It's how they connect with you. Mm-hmm. So putting your face out there as the face behind your brand is so important. It's so vital. And you're going to learn those things like, oh, gee, I don't really like myself in that color. I'm maybe not going to wear that color again. Mm-hmm. Oh, I do have a good side and it's my right side. Right. So when I go on TV, if I have the option, I'm going to stand on that side. Or if I go on a podcast and they ask me what's my better side, I'm going to ask to be on that side.
I like how you said if they ask you, because I know they don't usually
ask you, especially on TV. And be prepared for that. But if you do have an option, then at least you know. And if you don't have an option, you can kind of cheat yourself a little bit, whichever way is your better, your better side.
Totally get it. So we're talking about, putting your best foot forward, dressing the part, being prepared and what you're going to say, the information you're going to convey, and being the expert, really bringing yourself out as the expert. But even if you might be an expert, we don't often feel like we are, and we get that dreaded imposter syndrome.
Yes.
I think that a big part of how we come across is based on how we're feeling inside, not necessarily the experience or the accolades that we bring with us.
Totally.
What would you recommend to somebody who is maybe struggling a little bit with that imposter feeling syndrome, that clearly isn't an imposter and has all the skills and all the experience, how to get past that so that they really can bring forward the knowledge that they have?
Oh, that's such a great topic and a great question, because we were just talking about this because I still sometimes feel like I have this imposter syndrome, like, oh, who am I to stand up next to these other pros in my industry who have done it for so long and they're so incredible. And I struggle to even put myself in the same category as them or in the same sentence as them, because someone is always going to have more experience than you. That's just part of life, and understanding and accepting that is just a part of moving forward. But really leaning into your wins, I think, is a great way, at least that's what I try to do, to remind myself that I'm not an imposter.
Well, you are Emmy nominated.
Thank you for that. Yes,
you are an Emmy nominated presenter,
which blows my mind. I know, and I'm so thankful and honored for that. But I do have to remind myself, because even though to me I think, oh my gosh, that's crazy that I was even in that category with these incredibly talented people, but it's true. And leaning into that and reminding myself of that, not to be pompous or boastful, but to remind myself that I've got it. I've got this. I can trust myself that I know what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say that to anybody who was doing what they're doing really well. Doesn't matter how long you've done it. If you've done it for 2 years or you've done it for 20 years, if you're doing it and you have the goods, then you've got it. And who cares what anybody else thinks? Who cares if even in your own mind you think you're an imposter? You're doing it.
Glow Up Boss podcast is brought to you today by Infinity Sun. Are you an entrepreneur thinking that you'd like to start a new business that's fun, that doesn't cost a lot of money to start up, that you could do in the evenings and weekends and earn lots and lots of money? Starting a spray tanning business definitely checks off all those boxes. With state-of-the-art plug-and-spray proprietary spray tanning systems that require only one solution, you can literally choose 30 different levels of spray on the spray tanning system itself. Infinity Sun offers sunless tanning solutions that combine high-end skincare together with sunless tanning technology to not only create the most flawless looking tans, but also to improve the condition of the skin. Here's what I'm going to say to that. So I've been in my business, in my industry for over 20 years.
Mm-hmm. And that's incredible. Because how have you been in business for 20 years? You don't look like you're older than 35. Did you start when you were 15?
Well, I'm going to take that. And I did actually start when I was 14, and I'm not even counting all those years. But what I will say to you is this. So I have, I've put in the time, I have the education,
Mm-hmm.
I have the experience. Yeah. But what happens is things change. The world changes.
Yeah.
Industries change. Technologies change.
I know.
And today, despite the fact that I've been in business for this many years, when I started, there was no social media.
Mm-hmm.
So we did traditional PR.
Yeah.
We did got in all the magazines.
Right. It was a different game.
TV, totally different game.
Yeah.
But then MySpace came.
Oh, good old MySpace.
Remember MySpace?
Yes.
So even if you've been in your business for 20 years, you're an amateur. You're hitting reset like everybody else because of these newer technologies. And then you have other people coming out under these new technologies, establishing themselves as experts in the arena, right?
Totally.
And so you can feel a little bit like an imposter in the sense that you've never been in those modalities. Here I am 20 years in business and I just started a podcast. And there are girls that are 20, 30 years younger than I am that are experts and they're podcasters and they have courses.
Yeah.
So, you still feel like an imposter. But the one thing that you can rest assured in is that you are you.
So good.
And nobody can do you like you. You're
Absolutely.
one of a kind.
Yes.
Nobody's lived the life that you've lived. Nobody has the same lens. Nobody sees things the way that you see them.
So true.
And you can't be an imposter you. Other people can be an imposter you, but you can't.
That's so good. And I was just writing a talk for something where the theme was loose threads and tying in these loose threads and the unfinished pathways in our lives and how that makes each one of us. It's so true. I love the idea that your life is different from mine, and we can learn and grow from one another. And not to negate the power of experience, because that's a big deal too. I mean, you've been in business for 20 years, but we have vastly different life experiences. We can learn from each other, and accepting and embracing that is what is going to make one person a little bit more, I think, positive in terms of moving forward in their business. I don't want to say more successful than someone else, because we can all be successful, whether it's through good or bad attitudes. But having that positivity mindset around your business is going to make other people want to work with you, and in turn is going to bring happiness and success and joy and whatever you consider that. I mean, whatever you consider success in your life, whether that's a dollar amount or whatever it might be, a certain echelon with your business, success in my mind is being proud and excited about what I'm doing. So if what I'm doing brings me joy, even if I'm not making a certain dollar amount yet, or maybe ever, I get to do something I love every day. That's priceless.
Yeah, totally. Well, at the end of the day, people have money, so they have freedom, and the freedom to choose what they do with their time.
Yes.
And if you have the freedom to choose what you're going to do with your time, you're going to do things that bring you joy, that teach you, that expand you, right? So if you can do that without being a millionaire or a billionaire, you're already ahead of the game.
Exactly. You're a billionaire in terms of freedom.
Right.
You have the freedom to do things that you love. And so, yeah, no, I don't want to poo-poo the idea of making money, because we are entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
We need to make money. That's a valuable side of being a business owner. And I think that's a very important side of it, because if you're not making money, it's a hobby, and that's okay too. So making money is important, but I don't think it should be the ultimate definition of success. The dollar amount to me is important, but it's not what's going to make me the happiest at the end of my life. It's the joy and the satisfaction that I get from doing the things that I love, especially with people that I love.
100%. So let's go back to your media experience.
Okay.
Because this is gold, and I know this is something that everybody wants to know. So social media, right? So we talked a little bit about showing up in front of the camera for TV.
Yeah.
But what about for social media, right? Are there like certain... How would you talk to like image, like often, like how often you show up, the type of content that you produce? What do you recommend in terms of that?
That's a great question. And I think it is sort of specific to a person and to an industry. I think that we are seeing social media change all the time, which is exciting. It's cool to see things being revolutionized in front of our eyes. But social media has become this really great tool to get to feel like we know people. And so I think that is what people want.
Authenticity.
Authenticity. Yes, it's that dirty word, authenticity, because it's hard to achieve, right? It's hard to achieve that actual truth, because we're all trying to present the best versions of ourselves. But bringing the polished side of ourselves is great, but people do want to see that raw and nitty gritty. And so as a business owner, I do think there are a lot of opportunities for video content, a ton. I think the more you can do, the better. And I don't want anyone to burn themselves out thinking, oh, I have to be on camera every single day, because that's a tall order to be prepared, to get yourself ready every single day. It's a lot. But I think if you can show up in your stories in a quick little reel 2, maybe 3 times a week, I think you're going to see a lot of engagement. You're going to see a lot of growth. And I do think finding ways to authentically tell your story yourself with your own face on camera, people are going to resonate more with that rather than with a logo or stock images or something that you made on Canva, which is great. Make stuff on Canva. I love Canva.
Right.
But showing up yourself, even if it's just in your stories, people will see that, they will resonate with that, because that's how I feel. When I follow a brand, but I know the person who's behind that brand and they show up on their social media, I get to feel like I'm a part of it. I get to feel like they've brought me into something in their story, that I'm intrinsically woven into it in some way. And that's kind of what we all want to feel when we go on social media. So
Totally.
finding that little tidbit of truth to share with your audience, it can be hard, but I think that is gold.
I agree with you, but I feel like we're like drowning in a sea of content.
That is true.
Getting ready with you, me and my, with my family, me with my dogs, me with my kids, me behind the scenes of my business, me having a bad day, me having a good day.
Right.
What can people do to set themselves apart? I know now with AI, that's like a whole other dimension.
AI is so scary. It scares me. It is like a crazy world that I don't really understand, but I just know like, how do they make it look like people are places that they're not? I don't know. It's wild. I think with social media, a great thing to remember is that you are making content for a very specific niche. You are not making content for everybody in the world.
God, this is a theme that comes up in almost every single episode.
So
know your audience.
Know your audience. And I think people really struggle with that. So something that is a great way to start with knowing your audience, and this is how I started, was, well, what do I want to see?
Yeah.
And even if my audience at the beginning is just me, that's okay. You can get to a point where you have created an ideal audience and you have crafted who this individual person is. And I know some coaches do tell you to do that, to sit down and create this ideal person who's going to be watching your content. But even if you just start with, well, what would I want to see from the beauty experts that I follow, from the media experts that I follow? What information do I want? Even if you just start there and start creating content that you would like, you will start to niche down in your audience. Because yes, we are drowning in a sea of content. That's such a great point.
Yeah.
But I don't see all of the crazy things that maybe somebody else sees on social media. I see the things that the algorithm has determined that I want to watch.
Right.
And it will start to show your content to the people who want to see that kind of stuff. And that's the beauty of the algorithm. I know we all kind of complain about it all the time, but I think there's really a great opportunity there to find your people. So just knowing my content is not going to be for everybody, and that is okay. But my people are going to love it so much that if I am a beauty, brand, a beauty blogger, whatever it is, the people who want to see what I have to offer are going to resonate with it a lot. And that is going to translate into loyal followers and probably customers at some point. And that's how you get from that content creation to that sale, is you have to know who is that person that you're going for.
So do you follow Gary Vee from VaynerMedia?
I don't.
He is brilliant, and
Sorry,
you should
Gary.
definitely check him out. You should
after today.
You should definitely check him out. So he talks about the uncurated feed, because we went through a period where everybody was like perfectly curating their feeds about like one specific topic, and the algorithm is going to start favoring people that have different topic areas, different areas of interest, and completely uncurated. And when I heard him talking about that, I thought, wow, this is me. This is what I normally do. So now the algorithm is going to start, favoring my ADHD, showing a bit of the dog, showing a bit of the cooking, showing a bit of the behind the scenes in the lab, showing the bit of the team meeting stuff, the pageants, the fitness competitions, and just like everything all over the place. What do you think about that?
I think that that's interesting. And I think as social media changes, that's one of those things that we're going to start to see is this kind of more unfiltered, more realistic, multifaceted person. And we're going to get to be reminded that each one of us is not just this Instagram feed, this beautiful grid of all these posts. That, yes, I'm a media expert. I'm not going to use quotes. I'm a media expert.
Thank you.
Stepping into that, I'm a media expert, but I'm also a singer.
Right.
I'm also a mom.
There you go.
I am also I love fitness. Like there are so many, I can't cook, so that'll probably be on there too.
that would attract me to your, to your page more than you just doing your media expert stuff. The fact that you are a mom, how do you mother? What is life for you as a mom? What is your fitness routine?
Yeah.
When you get ready, what products are you using to get that beautiful skin? Or where do you go to get your hair done? Who does your tan?
Ooh. But that's the thing is, because when I see other women out there who are, in my opinion, somebody that I admire and look up to and think, wow, like she is just crushing it. But then I get to see those little behind the scenes things. It reminds me that yes, she's out there crushing it and she's amazing, but she's a real person.
Yeah.
And it humanizes us to one another. And then when I, if I do get the pleasure of meeting these people sometimes in real life, it can remind me, oh yes, you're a real person just like me. And it's beautiful because we're all just human, and it's a beautiful thing to be reminded of, but it's also a great, it tells me that they are doing so much more than I even think. Yes, someone can be a media expert, but they're also crushing it as a mom and a wife, and it's great.
Yeah, no, you're a human first. Well, I think you're a spiritual being first, then you're a human.
Yes.
Then you're all the roles that you play, and one of them is what you do professionally. And I think that's an important thing that a lot of people, kind of miss is, there's more to us than what we do for a living, right? There are thousands of homeless dogs in the pounds and shelters and running all over the streets, and not enough people out there to help them. Sprays for Strays is a fundraising organization that raises money through the sunless tanning and beauty industry to help all the rescues all over the United States of America pull the dogs out of the pounds and shelters, get them vetted, get their vaccinations, get them spayed and neutered, help with any sort of behavioral issues, and help to get them into their forever homes. Go to spraysforstrays.com and become a member, or donate. Every little bit of support helps. Thank you to our sponsor, Sprays for Strays, for helping to save the lives of dogs, one spray tan at a time.
Totally. I mean, I know I love that I get to get dressed up and go be on camera and have my makeup and my hair, and I love it. But just yesterday, I was home all day with my son, and he has a little sniffly cold, and he was rubbing snot all over me. So there's that side of me too, that sometimes I'm walking around in workout gear with baby snot on me.
Do you want to see the snot? Yes or no? I think that might increase engagement.
I'm going to try it. I will try it. Yes. No, it's wild, the different facets of us as individual people, and getting to see those things is really interesting. It's really humanizing, and a great reminder that those days when you don't feel super glamorous, it's not all the time that we're out with our hair done and our makeup done. It's
true.
Different levels of life.
I'm going to go back to one thing before we wrap up the episode. So say, for example, you're a presenter and you have a guest. So say I'm a guest on your show and, we talk sunless tanning. This is like deja vu because I know we've done this before. So we talk sunless tanning. I do a spray tan. You see the before and after results. What would be the best protocol? Would it be to follow up and thank you for having me on the show? How would I nurture that relationship?
That's a great question. And I would say absolutely. There's never, it's never bad to say thank you. It's never bad to follow up. Now, if you're following up in the hopes of getting back on the show at some point, getting more media exposure, I think giving it a little bit of breathing room before throwing that out again is good. Just having a little bit of mindfulness around that, but absolutely saying thank you. And I have had some lovely, lovely, lovely people who have sent me just a little thank you card or something like that, which is, I keep all of those things because I think it's so sweet and beautiful. But yeah, whatever you would naturally do. But I absolutely think just saying thank you. And if you were booked by a booker, by a producer, thanking them as well goes a long way, because those are the people who they're behind the scenes, but they do just as much work. Yeah, I mean, if not more. They are working their butts off too. So whoever it was that booked you, just reaching back out and saying thank you, extending gratitude to everybody who is there. It's a huge team that makes these things happen, whether it's a podcast, whether it's a TV show, whatever it is, there are the people in front of the camera, and then there's a whole group of people behind the camera who make so many things happen. So just saying thank you to everybody, I think is so positive, and why not? So yeah, I think that's a great way to do it. And then if you do want to be booked again, or you're looking to be booked again, giving it a little bit of breathing room, but reaching out after that thank you is always a good way to do that.
Awesome. So I always wrap up my shows with 3 takeaways for people to go, like action items. We send worksheets at the end of the show. We make those available for people to like move things a little bit forward.
I love that.
So I'd like to let's put into the frame that somebody is reaching out to all the local news stations with the hopes of getting on the show.
Yeah.
What are 3 things that people can start doing today to move that process forward and to get ready for those opportunities when they happen?
Oh, that's so great. Okay. So first of all, I would say narrow down your message. Really know your talking points, because if you're reaching out to media, what if someone has a last minute dropout and they call you tonight and say, hey, we have an opening on the show tomorrow morning. Do you want to come be on the show? Are you prepared? If you're reaching out to media, make sure you are prepared. Write down, I would say 5 talking points that really define you, your brand, and your message.
Okay.
Put the most important one first. Whatever the most important thing you want people to know, put it at the top.
Okay.
And then have supporting things after that. So get your talking points situated. Know them, be comfortable with them. Next, I would say this is something that maybe would take a little bit of time, but start getting on camera. Just put yourself on camera. Start filming yourself on your phone if you don't have the means to hire a camera crew and, do a podcast or something. Just get on camera and start getting comfortable with it. It might feel cringy at first, but set up your phone, buy a $20 ring light on Amazon, and start creating some content and put yourself on camera. You're going to be glad eventually that you did, because you'll get more confident. And then a third thing, I guess I would say, start identifying the brands that the media outlets that you want to work with. So if you are already reaching out to those people, that's great. But what other outlets are there? Are there other podcasts? Are there other magazines? Are there other things that maybe you haven't quite tapped yet? And reach out to those people as well. Start identifying who might really align with you, and then start reaching out to them as well. But just being prepared, because if you're going to start putting yourself out there, you never know when an opportunity might come knocking. So get yourself prepared.
That is so great. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Lexi. You've really given us some good information that, we can take and move things forward. So I wish you a beautiful rest of the day. Thank you so much.
Oh, thanks, Veronique. It's an honor to be here, and I love talking with you. Like I said, you always just bring so much happiness and joy everywhere you go. So thank you for having me.